Episode 47 of the podcast. In the first part, we're going to talk about, is the customer always right? Can we always give the dog owner what they want? And in the second part, we're going to talk about running some numbers. How much time does the average dog spend with a groomer's hands on them? You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Neumeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, certified behavior consultant for canines, certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is where grooming and training meet. Is the customer always right? Can we always give the dog owner what they want from us? And I'm going to say no. As professional groomers, trainers, doctors, veterinary staff, all the dog pros, we have some specialized skills that most owners simply don't understand. So here are some examples. Trainers are constantly telling owners that their participation is important to training. We can't train the dogs, send them back into chaos, and expect all of the training to stick. And once you explain it to an owner, they start to understand that, like, oh, okay, so we're going to have to work on it too. But trainers pretty routinely don't take on customers that aren't willing to also follow through. That's just part of us knowing what is needed. Vet offices have to give owners difficult information all the time. I mean, a wide variety of difficult information. It could be that their dog needs a special diet. It could be that their dog needs dental work. That could be a medication that the dog requires that the owners would rather not do or would like to work around. And they have to say, well, this is what is needed. This is what we need to be able to do. And in those cases, we need to be prepared to let an owner go, get a second opinion, talk to somebody else, and hopefully they're going to hear the same exact thing everywhere they go. Now, as groomers, we don't give beautiful trims over matted coats. Right? We all have some things that we know are for the best. We don't give beautiful trims over matted coats, even if our owners want that. So I want us all to start thinking about behavior problems the same way. We need to start teaching about behavior problems and treating them as with the same attitude, right? Let's get away from the idea that my customers aren't going to do it. I'll give you some examples of some of the excuses I hear. And they may sound like they're reasons right now, but I'm going to point out why they're excuses, right? My customers aren't going to do it. Your customers don't understand why it's necessary. That's why they're not going to do it. They don't know why they need to work on it. They don't know why a behavior problem isn't something that we just do every day. They kind of just take it for granted that we must do that all day because aren't all dogs like that? So we need to educate our customers. I actually had a customer thought that it was perfectly fine for a dog to jump on the side of my car because I work with dogs, right? People who think it's perfectly fine to leave like dog poo in the waiting room at a vet's office because we work with dogs, right? I mean, we just must put up with everything, right? That's part of educating our customers as to what we know, what they should know. Customers don't get it, and it's okay that they don't get it. We have to explain it and don't have to put up with it, right? Another reason that I feel is an excuse. This owner won't work with their dog because of XYZ. Won't work with their dog because they don't have time. Won't work with the dog because, they've worked with them before and nothing happened. Or they have kids and they're just too busy. Or whatever the excuse is. And I'm going to say it's an excuse because when they understand that this is a safety need, it's an excuse. If they aren't going to work with their dog on behavior and provide safe working environment for us and safety for their dog, we don't need to take them. We don't need to take them, right? Another reason that's, to me, pretty much excusey. This dog is too old to learn now. Oh, now that one's kind of tricky. Is this dog too old to learn? Gosh, I could do a whole episode on that. I could probably do hours on that. For many, many dogs, they don't learn well as they get older. However, they can learn to become much more afraid. We can make the problem dramatically worse really, really quickly because they will remember the things that, panic tells them to remember. So when we're talking about behavior issues, and we're talking about helping a dog stay calm, comfortable, and cooperative, that age portion, I don't think that's a good reason. I think that that's more important to keep them calm, comfortable, and cooperative, to not necessarily push it to its end, right? So here's another reason or excuse. If I don't do it, someone else will, and I'll lose a customer. Oh man, I feel for you. I get that, right? If I don't do it, someone else will. I'll lose a customer, right? But imagine a world where we're all paying attention to, hey, this isn't safe, right? No one out there right now is giving beautiful trims over matted fur. I hope. I don't think so. And when you think about it that way, that means that more and more people are actually realizing every groomer is going to tell me the same thing. So if I want to do a beautiful trim over matted fur, I'm going to have to do it myself in my garage. Right? Don't worry about losing a customer who isn't willing to work with you on safety. Behavior problems are safety. Behavior problems are when dogs get injured, people get injured, equipment gets broken, customers get upset, states start calling for licensing because something happened that was unsafe. Right? That's the behavior problem. It's the core of so many other issues. So we have to have oh, sorry, we got to do it. So if someone else is going to take that customer and I lose that customer, it's sad, right? Sometimes those customers come back. Sometimes the next groomer says the same thing, and the next groomer says the same thing, despite what we know owners tend to do, which is, oh, I don't know, my last groomer said the dog was great. I don't know if you guys all network with groomers near you, but there are plenty of groomers that we've talked about the same customer that's gone through all of us, given us the same line. Oh, no, the last groomer said he was great. Yeah, I know your last groomer. She did not say he was great. So don't worry about losing a good customer. You're not going to lose a good customer. If you lose a customer, you're losing a less than good customer. Another reason, also what I consider an excuse, is this owner can't afford it. Oh, man, I feel for you, you know? But owning dogs is expensive. Nobody needs to have a dog. I want a dog. Emotionally, I may need a dog. But if I can't afford a dog, I shouldn't have a dog. And I have 2 border collies, and I know how much money I spend on my dogs. And sometimes that's not easy, and sometimes it is. It depends. But if what they need is surgery, I'm going to do surgery. If what they need is x-rays, I'm going to do x-rays. If what they need is training, I'm going to do training, right? That's part of the responsibilities. And if you have an owner who really can't afford it, and that's your reason for working through a behavior problem anyway, make sure they know that you're going to do what you need to do and keep it within their budget as a help to them, but that you're not there to get hurt. You're not there to get hurt. That has nothing to do with their budget. They can't afford to let you get hurt either. Okay? I need you to stand up for yourself and say, well, listen, I understand it's not going to be easy for you to afford a trainer or for you to afford lessons or for you to work on this yourself. Willing to work with you on this and bringing them in more frequently and helping us be calm and relaxed for it. And we might not get the trim beautiful. And if they're like, oh, the trim has to be beautiful, explain, but you don't have to keep that customer. I really need people to start taking it really, really seriously. If they're like, no, you can't shave him down and you can't charge me for brushing out the mats. I just want the doodle trim, right? We know there's a point where you just say no. So here's another excuse. I know, I'm so opinionated about these. This owner is too old to change. I've got this old guy and he's just not going to do the work. That's an assumption. Do we know? Do we know that guy wouldn't do the work? I find that, some of these things also make some assumptions about the people that once people know that this is a safety issue, safety for their dog, they don't recognize that dogs are going to be trimmed with sharp objects. I don't know why they don't realize that, but they really don't. I cannot tell you how often people have no idea. Like, wait, the clippers can cut them too? Yes, clippers. If it cuts hair, it can cut a dog. So for many of these people, this dog is their buddy and a family member. And I think sometimes you make assumptions, we all do, about what customers will do or won't do and what they have the budget for. And, I'll tell you, there are times where you look around and you think, well, let's see, where do they live? What kind of neighborhood do they live in? And then you find out they also have like a summer camp and 4 ATVs. Think about the fact that we need to present them with the information. We can't just assume that they won't go for it or that they can't afford it. I wouldn't want someone to assume about me, so I shouldn't assume about others. um, and then there's one more reason/excuse that I hear we do pretty often, and that's this poor dog needs it right now. And we fall on our sword, and we're just doing exactly what this dog needs, right? And I know I'm kind of mocking a little bit, and I'm sorry, but there's a point where this dog did not become a behavior mess today, and it's not going to change and get better today. And if that's the dog's big problem, just like if the dog were matted, right, then we need to say, all right, well, I need to help this dog. And I need to help this dog be comfortable with something they're going to be doing for their entire life. Their entire life. This is not something that's only going to happen once. Grooming happens over and over and over again. And what we know about the way dogs respond to fear, the memories that are created when they panic, that so many of the problems we see in grooming, the behavior problems, derive from the fact that they weren't ready, they weren't comfortable with it, and we pushed them through it anyway. And more of the same will never, ever help. And just take that in for a minute. More of the same isn't going to help. Pushing them through it just to get it done today is very, very short-sighted. It's not going to help. We're going to make that behavior worse. Pushing them through it today is going to make that worse. And if it can't get any worse, it's probably pretty dangerous already. If you're enjoying my podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. I want to present some of the math. I want to talk about how often, how much time a dog spends getting groomed. And I think this is especially important for trainers and for some of the vets, because I think that unless you're a groomer, you really don't have an idea of how much hands-on time we spend with a dog. But also for groomers, I don't think you understand how much of their lifetime is spent working with us. I know it really opened my eyes. So let's talk about 15-year-olds dogs. Let's give them a lifespan of about 15 years. All right, and we'll start with that premise. I think that's pretty good. I think, there are certainly dogs that'll die younger, certainly dogs that'll live to be older, but 15 years is what I'm always hoping, right? So if a dog is groomed every 2 months, which is pretty average, every 2 months, that's 90 groomings in 15 years. What? I know, right? If a dog is groomed every month for 15 years, that's 180 groomings. Take that in. 180 groomings. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of repetitions. That's more than the annual checkup or the twice-a-year checkup that they get with the vet's office, right? This is a lot. This is a significant amount of time. And on average, I think that every dog should be getting their nails done about once a month. So for the rest of this, I'm going to describe it as the 180 grooms. Once a month for 15 years. Now, if it's a full groom, that could take an hour, 2 hours, it kind of depends, of hands-on time. Not necessarily shop time, like hands-on tub, dryers, and tables, and scissors, right? Hands-on groomer touching time is an hour to 2 hours per grooming, depending on the dog, the breed, of course, we're generalizing. A lot of trainers and a lot of vets have never really thought about that. A lot of the training protocols that we see are involving things like keeping a dog still for nail trimming, but not necessarily all of the other foot handling or the duration needed to get a grooming done. So when we look at the bigger picture of I need to work with this dog for a significant amount of time. Now, as a house caller, I really don't get a chance to give them breaks, but when I worked in grooming shops, I'd often take them out a couple of minutes here and there and help them along with the process, giving them lots and lots of breaks and just spacing it out throughout the workday so that they never had too long. However, the job takes what the job takes. So that dog still had about an hour to 2 hours of hands-on time, right? In a perfect world. While we're training, my hope is that we're also telling people he might not be perfect today, and we're settling for less than stellar grooms, and we're doing what the dog can manage, working toward the future. But let's assume it's 2 hours per grooming. And as a house caller, I usually budget myself about 2 hours, right? So that's 360 hands-on hours with that dog in their lifetime. Take that in. 360 hours working with that dog. That's a lot of time. And if it's only a 1 hour groom, tell you what, that's 180 hours working with that dog and grooming them, right? These numbers, let them sink in. What's 180 hours? If it's a 40-hour work week, that means that that dog was somebody's full-time job, 40 hours a week for 4.5 weeks. Holy cow, right? That's over a month, right? I want you to think about that, right? If that's 360 hours, if that 15 years is spread out over 180 grooms, it all took 2 hours long, the 40 divided by a 40-hour work week, that's 9 weeks worth of hands-on that dog is going to be spending with some groomer, right? With somebody with their hands on that dog for 9 weeks worth of that dog's life. 9 weeks. So what I'm proposing when I talk about teaching the dogs to be calm, comfortable, and cooperative, teaching the dogs about the tools, helping them feel like it's safe, helping them work with us, and keeping everybody safe, I'm suggesting that out of that 9 weeks worth of full-time job, hands-on with that dog, we spend the first Monday morning or the first Monday teaching them. Like if you knew that you were going to be with your hands on that dog for the next 3 months, every hour of your working day for the next 3 months, you'd spend time teaching them to be good. That's pretty big, isn't it? Like, holy cow, that's a long time. That's a lot of time. I certainly would. I'd be like, okay, we need to straighten this out now, buddy, because I'm not trying to hurt you, but this is what we need to do, right? But because they're going to live to be about 15, and we see them once every month or once every 2 months, and we only work with them for like a little bit over those times, I think that sometimes we start thinking, oh, eventually, or this dog isn't going to change, or, maybe we get them, well into that experience. Maybe we get them when they're 8 or 10 or even 14. Recently did a 14-year-old dog, and he's having some trouble now that he never used to have, but now he's getting some dementia. He's losing his eyesight. He's losing his hearing. He's anxious and wobbly at home too, right? So we have to work with the behavior we have. And I'm still expecting to work with him for hours. He's still going to get groomed about once a month or once every 2 months, probably for the next year or two, because I don't think he's that close to the end. Still worth all of our time. It's still worth all of our time. So when we start talking about it in terms of how long they're spending with us, I also want you to think that if what happens is they became afraid because their first experiences, they didn't know what to expect, they were uncomfortable or they were scared, and we didn't take the time to calm them down and instead push through it, right? I've done it plenty of times. I don't do it anymore, but I've done it plenty of times. We know that that's what makes them scared. We know that makes the problem worse. So would you rather spend 4.5 to 9 weeks of your life, over a month to 3 months of full-time work of your life, working with that one dog and just fighting him the whole time, or buckling down, telling owners this is really something very important and doable? So that's a lot of time that we're going to spend with that dog. And we know training is doable. So let me explain to groomers out there what we need from trainers, and trainers for you to think about it too. So dog training is more than just sit down, come, stay, leash work, right? That's basic training stuff. It's all important, and that's what we do. But that training is so much more than that. So find a trainer who does some of the stuff that we need. Right? I think that people directly, especially groomers, but owners too, are like, oh, we need a behaviorist. Do you really think that we need a veterinarian who went on to 4 more years of behavior studies to figure out why a dog doesn't like having his foot wrestled with? Of course not. Of course not. We don't need a PhD for that. Like that's something that trainers do. Maybe not every trainer, but you know what? There are trainers who work on obedience. There are trainers who work on show stuff. There are trainers who work on agility. Everybody has their own little piece, just like groomers do. There are groomers who do hand stripping. There are groomers who do shows. There are groomers who do color, right? There are lots of different types of specialties. So when we look for a trainer or when we're helping an owner find a trainer, keep some of these numbers in your mind. Like, this is a significant amount of this dog's life and your own life, or you and a colleague, someone in the grooming world is going to end up doing it, where this is going to be important. And it's important to have a dog feel pretty comfortable with it. I want them to be comfortable with it. They don't have to go through being pushed through it or forced through it. We can teach them that this is safe. Calm, comfortable, and cooperative, and doing the extra time in the beginning, and maybe giving up on a couple of gorgeous, fantastic grooms just for safety and for our owner's safety. And don't forget that when a dog is better for grooming and comfortable, calm, cooperative for grooming, they're often better for their owners. Those are the owners who can pull prickers out of paws. Those are the owners who can clean bums. Those are the owners who can clean around their dog's eyes. Those are the owners who can look in their dog's ear. Those are the owners who are more likely to be able to give medication, or at least the dog will let them give the medication. Whether they have trouble with it or not is different. But those are the dogs that are better for the vet. So for us to put in the time and find the right professional to help with it and get the owners on board, or tell the owners, like, listen, this is just really important. And that's why I stressed it in the last part. Like, some of these things are excuses. If they know it's really important and it's important for them, it's important for the lifetime. We want these dogs to be comfortable with it because it's going to keep happening. That's a guarantee. It's going to keep happening. We're going to keep working on it. And at the end of the day, don't worry about if you're going to lose customers. Only worry about losing good customers, right? Good customers are worried about safety. And that's where all this licensing talk is coming from. State licensing all came about because some owners are having unsafe experiences. Their dogs have been injured or their dogs have been killed in grooming or training accidents. And that's pretty serious. So behavior is often the cause of those problems and those accidents. We need to address it. We need to address stress levels and behavior. This week, the weekly action step is think about how long you spend with each dog, and think about that math, and think about the investment of teaching and doing behavior stuff in the beginning. So trainers, think about adding endurance to behaviors. This isn't a quick thing like an injection. This is an endurance run, like an hour or 2 hours. And groomers, be thinking about finding trainers who can help. If you'd like to talk to me, you can find me through my grooming and training business, happycrittersdogtraining.com, my email, chrissy@happycritters.net, and through the Creating Great Grooming Dogs Facebook page. And we have these awesome devices in our pockets that allow us to do live video with each other. I can help you with the dog on your table. We can set up live lessons, and you may be surprised at how much we can get accomplished together via video. If you're ready to go beyond the podcast, and I hope you do, I've made it really easy for you. If you go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step, you'll see all of the options. There's the Scholar Lounge community, there's the Modern Grooming Professional Certification, there's Master Canine Stylist and Professional Canine Stylist Diploma testings, there's the Behavior Lab for coaching and private one-on-one sessions with me, and of course the Master Groomer Behavior Specialist program. So go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step.